The island's only public hospital has been on the Joint Commission denial report and on a bill to remove tax exemptions for certain industries. GMH put some of their most vocal doctors on the front lines today to shift the focus back to the root cause of all their problems: funding. PNC's Janella Carrera reports.
The message at today's press conference with GMH Doctors was loud and clear. Senators, the ball is in your court.
Whatever bill comes out, it needs to address the annual $30–40 million underfundment to GMH. How that is going to morph, that's the legislature's responsibility.
The underlying issue for GMH is a recurring one. We have too many indigent patients who cannot afford to pay, the federal reimbursement is insufficient, and our government subsidies just aren't enough to sustain the operations. It's a perennial problem, like an open sore that just won't heal. And for decades, different administrations have tried, to little avail, to rescue the hospital from sinking. But the 6 physicians on today's panel agree we've now reached a critical point, and the Joint Commission preliminary denial of accreditation only lends a peek at what kind of disaster lies ahead. Dr. Jim Last is the president of the medical staff. He says that in other stateside jurisdictions, public hospitals are adequately funded by their respective legislatures.
Where did they get their funding from?
Exactly.
The legislature.
Exactly.
And they were responsible. And so any money that was needed, you go to the legislature and they would give it. Why doesn't this legislature take over the funding of the hospital?
At a public hearing on Bill 230 2 days ago, the medical and business community showed up in droves, their testimonies on opposite sides of the spectrum. The medical community pleaded for support of the bill, which would repeal tax exemptions for the banking, insurance, and wholesale industries, while the business community spoke out against the measure because of the impacts it would have in their respective industries, which could in turn drive up prices for consumers.
In the hearings I heard, if you raise taxes, if you continue to fund GMH, the quality of life of the people are going to go down. Did you hear that word? Because the price is going to go up, the cost is going to go up. So one of them even said there is a choice of the salad dressing is going to be, it used to be 2, but now we have 10. Remember that part section? And I was thinking to myself, and quality of life, how good is it if you have too many salad dressing? If you're dead, you can't enjoy that.
In the decades GMH has been fighting for funding, it's the administrators who have faced the legislature or the community at large, becoming the faces for the ailing hospital. But with GMH now reaching a boiling point, it seems a different approach has been taken, one that involves more physicians and nurses who, after all, have a first-hand knowledge of the hospital's daily operations. Their voices are more powerful when it comes to advocating for patients.
I have been hearing a lot of negative reports about the hospital. I can assure you that since I've been here, there's been quite a change in the performance of the hospital staff and how patients are treated. It is much superior now. The nurse starting at GMH makes $17 an hour. If she works in the U.S., okay, it's going to be $40 or $50 an hour.
Janella Carrera, PNC News.